The Empire had ruled the stars for hundreds of years. Its shining towers touched the clouds. Its fleets crossed the galaxy like rivers of steel, and its leaders believed nothing could threaten them. Peace, order, and discipline were the laws the Empire lived by. People admired their strength. Enemies feared their power. But power often brings pride, and pride makes even the strongest blind. Inside the Imperial capital, deep within the Central Observation Wing, a group of scientists worked in a calm, silent room. Soft blue lights glowed beneath polished screens. Charts and star maps floated in the air. But today something felt wrong. Every scientist in the room shared the same uneasy look. Dr. Merrick Solon, a thin man with sharp eyes and steady hands, leaned forward over his console. Strange numbers moved across his screen, forming patterns he had never seen before. His voice was tight when he spoke. "Commander Varen, you should look at this." Commander Tyrus Varen stepped close. He was young for his position, serious, intelligent, trusted by many but ignored by those in power. Varen studied the data, and his eyebrows drew together. "Is this from the Varyan border?" he asked. "Yes," Merrick replied softly. "These are the new readings." Varen frowned deeper. The numbers pulsed almost rhythmically. Not randomly, not naturally. "Run the analysis again," Varen said. Merrick shook his head. "Already did. 3 times. The result is always the same." Varen turned toward the center of the room. "Minister Kale needs to see this." At the far end of the observation wing, the door slid open. Minister Arvon Kale, a tall man wrapped in expensive imperial robes, entered with the slow confidence of someone who believed the galaxy belonged to him. His chin was raised, his expressions calm, almost bored. "You called for me?" Kale asked. "I hope it's important. I have a trade meeting in 20 minutes. Varen ignored the tone and stepped forward. "Yes, Minister. We picked up unusual energy spikes from the Varyan border. They are growing stronger every hour." Kale sighed. "Energy spikes? Commander, please. Space weather changes daily. You cannot call me here for such small issues." Merrick quickly added, "Sir, these readings are different. They don't match storms, solar flares, or any cosmic activity we know. The patterns look like intelligence," Varen finished. Kale raised an eyebrow. "Intelligence? Out there? Are you both trying to frighten me?" "No, Minister," Varen said. "We simply believe this must be investigated seriously." Kale waved his hand as if brushing away dust. "Nothing threatens the Empire. Our fleets patrol the border every day. If anything unusual existed, they would see it." Merrick swallowed. "But sir, we did see it right here. And the readings are increasing." "Enough," Kale said. "Your imagination is the problem." The scientists exchanged worried looks. They had seen patterns like these before in ancient data, moments before old civilizations vanished. But Kale didn't want to hear it. The Empire's pride had covered its eyes. After Kale turned away, Varen stepped closer to him. "Minister, please. Even if we are wrong, we lose nothing by preparing. But if we are right and ignore this—" "Commander Varen," Kale interrupted. "I admire your spirit, but fear is not an imperial value." He adjusted his robes. "Stay calm, do your jobs, and stop spreading panic." He walked out of the room without waiting for a reply. The moment the door closed, Varen's jaw tightened. The fear inside him grew heavier. Merrick whispered, "He won't listen. He never listens." "I know," Varen said, "but someone must." Without telling anyone, he sent a private encrypted message to the Empire's Central Command. It was a simple request: emergency. Please review Varyan readings. Possible threat. He hoped someone higher in the chain of command would take it seriously. Far away, on the edge of known space, the Empire's scout ship Vanguard 17 glided through the darkness like a silent arrow. The stars around it shimmered faintly, as if uncertain of their own brightness. Captain Aya Lyra stood at the front of the command deck, her hands resting on the control railing. She was calm, experienced, and known for following her instincts. Today, her instincts whispered danger. "Report?" she asked. First Officer Jalen Rook checked his console. "Energy readings continue to climb, Captain. The spikes match the ones from the capital." Lyra didn't look away from the view. "And the source?" "That's the strange part," Jalen said. "There is no clear source. The energy just appears." Lyra narrowed her eyes. "Show me the frequency pattern." Jalen transferred the data to the main screen. The pulses beat like a slow heart. Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "It's responding to us." Jalen shook his head. "Captain, that doesn't make sense. Energy can't react. It's not alive." But even he didn't sound convinced. A sudden beep echoed through the deck. A message. A signal. Faint and broken. "What is that?" Lyra asked. Jalen listened carefully. "It's repeating, but it's scrambled. Could be a warning. Or something else." Lyra felt the hair on her arms rise. "Record it. Boost the signal. Send it to the Empire. They need to see this." "Yes, Captain." The Vanguard's communication tower began transmitting. A thin wave of data stretched through space toward the capital. But something happened. A distortion. A shift. As if space itself bent. The message didn't go through. Lyra stared at her console. "Try again." "No response," Jalen said quietly. "Something is blocking us." Lyra finally turned away from the stars. "Something is watching." Her words unsettled everyone. Back in the capital, the observation room was quieter than ever. Varen checked the monitors repeatedly. The data from the scouts wasn't coming in. He waited and waited, but nothing changed. Merrick looked pale. "Where is their update? They should have reported by now." Varen didn't answer. His chest felt tight. His instincts screamed that something terrible was approaching. But Minister Kale, in his grand meeting hall, spoke confidently to other officials. "The border is safe," he declared. "The Empire is safe." He had no idea what was coming. Hours later, Varen's console blinked. A message finally arrived from Vanguard 17. Half a message. Just Captain Lyra's voice, trembling. "Energy spikes. Unpredictable. Sensors failing. Something is." Then silence. Complete silence. Varen and Merrick stared at the empty screen, cold fear crawling through them. The Empire had rejected the warning. Now the warning had turned into silence. And silence was always the first sign of disaster. The scout ship Vanguard 17 moved through the silent darkness of the Varyan border. The stars around it looked dimmer than usual, as if the light itself did not want to stay here. The crew worked quietly, each person feeling a strange pressure in the air, something they could not explain. Captain Aya Lyra stood at the center of the command deck, her eyes fixed on the main screen. Every instinct in her body told her something dangerous was near. She trusted her instincts more than any machine. "Status report," she said calmly, though her voice carried a hint of tension. First Officer Jalen Rook tapped his console. His brow furrowed. "Captain, the energy spikes are still increasing, and the pattern is changing again." "Show me," Lyra ordered. The main screen lit up with shifting waves of blue and green. The spikes rose and fell like a heartbeat. Slow, steady, powerful. Lyra frowned. "It changed again? In less than an hour?" "Yes," Jalen replied. "We've never seen anything like this." At the back of the deck, Technician Rhea even swallowed hard. "Captain, I think the energy is reacting to our movement." Jalen gave her a doubtful look. "Energy can't react, Rhea. It's physics, not a living thing." Rhea didn't argue. She just stared at the screen, her fingers trembling slightly. A soft hum filled the ship. Lights dimmed for a second, then brightened again. "What was that?" Lyra asked. Rhea checked her console. "A minor power fluctuation, Captain, but I don't know what caused it." Lyra turned to Jalen. "Run a full diagnostic on all systems. I don't want any surprises." "Yes, Captain," Jalen said and began typing rapidly. The ship continued gliding through the dark. But the darkness felt wrong today, as if something huge was hiding inside it. Back in the Empire capital, Commander Tyrus Varen moved quickly through the halls. He was heading back to the observation wing for new data. Dr. Merrick Solon waited for him, eyes tired but alert. "Any updates from Vanguard 17? Varen asked immediately. Merrick shook his head. "No full report. Only fragments. Their transmission keeps breaking." Varen felt a chill. "They should have sent the full data by now." "I know," Merrick whispered. "Something is blocking their signal." Varen stared at the monitor showing the Varyan border. The energy spikes pulsed like a pattern, like breathing. "This is not random," he said. "Something intelligent is out there." Merrick nodded. "And it's moving." Aboard Vanguard 17, alarms suddenly beeped. Rhea gasped. "Captain, we're receiving something." Lyra stepped closer. "Is it from the Empire?" "No," Rhea whispered. "It's from ahead of us." The bridge went silent. A faint sound came through the speakers, soft, distorted, almost like a whisper in an empty room. Jalen leaned in. "Can you clean it up?" "I'll try," Rhea said. She pressed several keys, adjusting filters and amplifiers. The sound grew louder. It repeated itself again and again. But it was not a language anyone recognized. "It's a message," Lyra said slowly, "but not meant for us." The signal grew sharper for a moment, then broke into static again. "Send all recorded data back to the Empire," Lyra ordered. "They must see this." "Yes, Captain," Jalen said. He pressed the transmit button. Nothing happened. "Transmission failed," he muttered. "Try again." Lyra's voice carried more tension now. Jalen tried again, and again. Every attempt failed. "This is impossible," he said. "Something is blocking every outgoing signal." Rhea looked terrified. "Captain, I don't think it's an accident." Another hum moved through the ship. This time it was louder, deeper. The lights flickered violently. The ship shook as if something massive brushed against it. "What was that?" Jalen yelled. Rhea checked her readings. "Captain, I don't know. Our sensors registered a large object for a moment. But it vanished before I could identify it." Lyra turned toward the windows. Outside, the stars rippled slightly, as if waves of dark water were moving through space. "Full scan," Lyra commanded. "Look for anything. Anything at all." Jalen began the scan. His face grew pale as new data appeared. "Captain," he whispered, "there's something out there." "What is it?" "I don't know. It's huge. But the sensors cannot lock onto it. It's like the darkness itself is moving." Lyra felt her heart beating faster. She had been in many dangerous situations, but this felt different. This felt alive. "Record everything," she ordered. "If we cannot send data now, we'll try again later." The ship's engines hummed softly as Vanguard 17 continued forward. But the darkness around them twisted, like something turning to look at them. In the imperial capital, Minister Arvan Kale entered the observation wing with his usual smug confidence. "Well?" he asked. "Did the scouts find your imaginary monster?" Varen stood straight. "Minister, we lost their last transmission, and the energy spikes now show signs of coordination." Kale snorted. "Coordination? Are you saying the border itself is thinking?" "No," Varen said carefully. "But something at the border might be." Merrick added, "Every reading suggests the presence of an unknown intelligence, sir." Kale rolled his eyes. "You are scientists, not storytellers. Stop spreading fear. The Empire is safe." Varen clenched his jaw. "Then why have our scouts gone silent?" Kale didn't answer. He simply turned and walked out. As the door closed, Merrick whispered, "He will not believe us until it's too late." Varen stared at the border map. "We must hope there is still time." Back on Vanguard 17, the situation grew worse. "Captain," Jalen shouted, "our long-range sensors just failed." Rhea looked equally panicked. "Navigation is glitching too. We're losing star map recognition." Lyra kept her voice steady. "Stay calm. Backup systems." "Trying," Rhea said. "But they're not responding." Then suddenly, Everything went silent. The ship stopped shaking. The lights stabilized. The sensors returned blank. "Captain," Jalen said quietly, "we just lost contact with every Imperial beacon." Lyra felt the weight of his words. They were alone, truly alone. She stepped toward the forward window. The darkness outside was no longer calm. Pulsed faintly, like a living thing. Rhea gasped. "Captain, something is approaching." "What?" Lyra asked. "I can't see it," Rhea whispered, "but I feel it." The ship's communication screen blinked once, then died. A final soft whisper filled the speakers. A sound not human, not machine, not from any creature known to the Empire. Jalen froze. "Captain," Lyra whispered. "It's here." The screen flickered. The lights dimmed. And then, silence. Vanguard 17 was gone. Vanished without a trace. Only the silence remained. The Imperial capital was alive with the usual noise of power. Meetings, marching guards, echoing announcements, and the calm belief that nothing could ever touch the Empire. The giant silver crown-shaped station hovered above the planet, glowing like a symbol of eternal strength. But inside the central observation wing, the air felt heavy. Commander Tyrus Varen stood over the main console, staring at the blank section of the screen where the signal from Vanguard 17 should have been. Nothing. No updates. No location. No heartbeat signal. Just silence. Dr. Merrick Solon sat at a nearby desk, hands shaking slightly. "Commander, it's been 4 hours. They should have reported by now." Varen didn't answer. His jaw tightened as he watched the screen. "Run the scan again." Merrick sighed. "I already did. 6 times." "Run it again," Varen said quietly. Merrick nodded and typed, but he knew the result would not change. Every scan returned the same message. No data found. No beacon detected. No active signal. It was as if Vanguard 17 had vanished from the galaxy. At that moment, the doors slid open. Minister Arvon Kale walked in with 2 high-ranking officials following behind him. His expression was relaxed, almost amused. "Commander Varen," he said as he approached. "I hope you have better news this time." Varen straightened. "Minister, we lost all contact with the scout ship. This is serious." Kale raised an eyebrow. "Serious? Or another misunderstanding?" Merrick stepped forward quickly. "Sir, their signal ended mid-sentence. Something interfered with it." Kale waved a hand. "Perhaps a faulty transmitter. Old equipment. Poor maintenance. You know how these scouts are." Varen frowned. "No, sir. This wasn't a malfunction. This was something else." Kale turned to the other officials and smirked. "You see? Every time we launch a simple patrol, these scientists start imagining monsters in the dark." One of the officials chuckled. "Yes, Minister. Fear makes people creative." Varen felt anger rise in his chest. "With respect, sir, this is no imagination. The Varyan readings have changed again. The energy spikes now move in patterns, repeatable patterns." He tapped the console, and the screen displayed the latest graph. The spikes rose and fell almost like a code. Kale studied it for 2 seconds, then shrugged. "Looks like noise to me." "It isn't noise," Merrick insisted. "It resembles a response. A reaction." Kale smiled. "A reaction to what?" "Empty space." Varen stepped closer. "Minister Kale, the scouts encountered something. Something large. Something that blocked their communication. We cannot ignore this." Kale rolled his eyes. "Commander, do you realize how many fake threats the Empire has faced? Pirates, rebels, unknown asteroids, strange radiation. All of them harmless." "This is different," Varen said firmly. Kale's expression hardened slightly. "Let me be clear. I will not authorize panic. I will not call troops from other borders. And I will definitely not inform the Council that we are afraid of shadows." One of the officials nodded in agreement. "The Empire cannot appear weak." Varen clenched his fists. "We are not weak. We are blind." Kale's eyes narrowed. "Watch your tone, Commander." The room fell silent. A low beep cut through the tension. A new signal had arrived. Merrick rushed to the console. It's from the Varyan sector. Varen stepped beside him quickly. Is it the scout? Marek's fingers moved fast. No. It's a small burst of unknown origin. Kale folded his arms. Unknown? Of course. Another glitch. Merrick ignored him and played the audio. A short, broken sound echoed from the speakers. Sharp, garbled, unearthly, almost like a warning cry, but with no clear words, just a strange pulse repeating itself. J, 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 then silence. Varen felt the hairs on his neck rise. Merrick whispered, "That's the same pulse the Vanguard reported before they vanished." Kale sighed loudly. "So what? It's just interference." Varen turned toward him, unable to hide his frustration. "Minister, a second unknown signal at the same moment our scouts disappear is not interference." Kale smiled coldly. "You are letting fear control you, Commander." Marek's voice wavered. "Minister, we need to treat this as a threat. We should lock down the border, prepare defenses, warn the fleet." "Enough!" Kale snapped. "I will not waste resources because a few scientists hear strange noises." Varen stared at him. "People might be dead." Kale shrugged. "People die on border missions all the time. It is unfortunate, but not unusual." The words hit Varen like a punch. He realized Kale didn't care. Not about the scouts. Not about the warnings. Not about the danger. Pride had made him deaf. Hours later, Varen stayed in the observation wing long after Kale left. Merrick sat beside him, exhausted. "Do you think anyone at Central Command will respond to your emergency message?" Merrick asked. "I hope so," Varen said quietly. "Because if they do not, the Empire will learn the truth the hard way." Merrick looked at the silent monitors. "You believe the scouts saw something, don't you?" Varen nodded slowly. "Yes, something real. Something intelligent." "Then why did Kale ignore it?" "Because the Empire has been safe for too long," Varen replied. "When people live without fear, they forget danger exists." Merrick stared at the screen showing the Varyan border. The energy spikes pulsed gently, like a heartbeat in the darkness. "What do you think it wants?" Merrick whispered. Varen didn't answer for a long moment. Finally, he said, "I think it warned us, and we didn't listen." 2 hours later, the observation wing lights flickered. A new alert appeared on the central monitor. Merrick stood quickly. "Commander, another scout ship has gone silent." Varen felt his chest sink. "Which one?" "Frontier 9. No transmission. No beacon. Nothing." Silence filled the room. Merrick whispered, "It's happening again." Varen slowly exhaled. "And the Empire still laughs." He stared at the border map, at the pulsing energy that was growing stronger by the minute. The Empire had ignored every warning, and now the silence was spreading. For 3 long days, Admiral Wren waited for news from the eastern border. Every hour he hoped the silence would break. Every hour he expected a message, a distress signal, anything from the Empire's missing fleets. But nothing came. The silence was now heavier than fear. It felt like a shadow spreading slowly across the map. Wren stood in the command hall of Fortress Helion, watching the holographic display of star systems. One by one, several sectors that once shone bright with Imperial activity now flickered with dull, empty markers. No lights, no signals, no life. Commander Vexa approached him with a datapad in hand. Even her calm voice trembled. "Admiral, the Third Fleet has also gone silent." Wren closed his eyes. The Third Fleet was led by Captain Soren, one of the best officers in the Empire. If he had fallen, then whatever force attacked them was far stronger than they thought. "Any sign of battle?" Wren asked quietly. "No wreckage, no escape pods, no emergency beacons," Vexa replied. "It's like they simply vanished." Wren turned away from the map. His hands were shaking, but he forced his voice to stay firm. "Nothing simply vanishes. Not 3 Imperial fleets. Something is there." Commander Vexa nodded. "Something we ignored." They both knew what she meant. The warning from the human transport ship. A decision too late. The Emperor had refused to believe the humans. He dismissed their words as fear, imagination, or some desperate lie. But now the Empire was paying the price. Ren walked to the observation window overlooking the starfield. This silence. It feels like a message. Vexa looked at him. What message? That whatever destroyed our fleets does not fear us. It does not rush. It does not hesitate. It simply moves forward, system by system. Commander Vexa swallowed. We should have listened to the humans. Ren nodded slowly. Yes, we should have. Human reinforcements. A sudden alert echoed across the command hall. Admiral, unidentified fleet incoming. Ren straightened. Enemy? No, sir. It's humans. Whispers erupted through the hall. Humans rarely sent fleets into Imperial space. And never this far from their own territory. Bring them in, Ren ordered. Moments later, a small squadron of sleek, matte black human ships appeared on the main display. They were smaller than Imperial battleships but strangely elegant. No weapons were visible, yet every officer felt a quiet power coming from them. A transmission came through. This is Captain Mara of the Terran Response Unit. We are here because you stopped answering our warnings. Ren stepped forward. You knew we would be attacked? We feared it, Captain Mara replied. And now we are certain. Ren asked, what are we facing? Captain Mara hesitated, and for the first time, fear entered her voice. We call them the voiceless, because when they come, silence follows. The command hall went cold. The first sign. Captain Mara shared what human scouts had found in deep space. Massive dark shapes moving between stars. Energy signatures unlike anything known. No communication. No negotiation. No mercy. They do not speak, Mara explained. They do not warn. They simply erase. Ren clenched his fists. Why attack us? They are not attacking you, she replied. They are moving, expanding, and you are standing in their path. Commander Vexa whispered. Then we must fall back. Evacuate the border systems. Mara shook her head. It's too late for that. Ren frowned. What do you mean? Captain Mara brought up a new hologram. It showed a dark wave, black and shifting, slowly absorbing star after star. This is not a battle line, she said. This is a storm, and it is coming toward this fortress, preparing for the impossible. Ren felt the weight of responsibility press down on him. Millions of lives depended on him, perhaps billions. He turned to Vexa. Prepare all remaining fleets. Recall every patrol ship. Activate planetary shields. It may not be enough, Mara warned. I know, Ren said, but we will not fall without a fight. Mara studied him for a moment, then nodded. Humanity will stand with you. The room fell silent. For the first time in Imperial history, humans and Empire officers stood side by side, preparing for a threat neither fully understood. The dark edge of the storm. Hours later, Ren returned to the command hall. Reports came in rapidly. Admiral, unknown energy flare detected on long-range sensors. Distance, Ren asked. 1.2 light hours from the outer defense ring. Mara stepped forward. That's them. A dark shape slowly appeared on the display. It was enormous, larger than an Imperial dreadnought. Its surface was smooth and black, absorbing all light. No engines were visible. No weapons. No markings. Just a silent, drifting giant. Ren stared. What kind of ship has no heat signature? A ship that doesn't need fuel, Mara replied. Or fear. Another alert echoed. Sir. More shapes appearing. 1, 3, 7, 12. A whole formation of silent black giants emerged from the void. No radio signals. No warnings. No demands. Just silence. The first contact. Ren gave the order. All ships hold formation. Do not fire unless fired upon. But the voiceless ships didn't fire. They simply floated closer. Slowly, like shadows sliding toward a light. Then, a A sudden surge of dark energy burst from one of the giants. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a beam. It was something stranger, like space itself twisted and collapsed outward. The outer defense ring vanished. No explosion. No wreckage. Just gone. Ren's voice broke. They erased it. Mara's face grew pale. This is why we warned you. For a moment no one spoke. Every officer felt the cold reality. The voiceless were not here to negotiate. They were here to erase. A glimmer of hope. But then, a new signal flashed on the screen. Unknown fleet approaching from hyperspace. Ren's breath caught. More voiceless. No, sir. It's humans. Hundreds of them. Mara's eyes widened. The Terran vanguard. They came. The voiceless ships continued their silent advance. But now humanity had arrived in full force. Ren whispered, Perhaps we still have a chance. And for the first time since the silence began, hope returned. Small, fragile, but real. The command hall inside Fortress Helion shook slightly as the Terran vanguard fleet exited hyperspace. Hundreds of human ships formed a silver arc across the stars, their engines glowing like a rising sun. Admiral Ren stared at the display in awe. He had seen Imperial fleets many times, massive, armored, loud. But the human ships were different. Sleek shapes, smooth hulls, strange blue patterns along their sides, as if they were grown, not built. Commander Vexa whispered, I have never seen a human fleet this large. Captain Mara folded her arms. Humanity does not send the vanguard unless the threat is beyond normal war. Ren nodded. Then the situation is truly worse than we feared. The voiceless advance. The silent black ships of the voiceless continued drifting forward. There was no sound, no heat, no communication signal. They looked like floating shadows, consuming the starlight around them. One of the sensors pinged. Admiral, the voiceless have changed formation. Show it, Ren ordered. The display zoomed in. The black giants were spreading out like a giant web, preparing to surround Helion. Mara's voice tightened. This is how they trap systems. Once they close the circle, nothing escapes. Ren clenched his jaw. Not today. He stepped forward, his voice booming across the hall. Prepare battle coordinates. Ready all Imperial fleets. Commander Vexa nodded. At once. The human plan. Captain Mara approached Ren. Listen to me carefully. Do not attack them directly. Your weapons may cause no damage. Ren frowned. Then what do your weapons do? They don't attack the ships, Mara replied. They attack the energy that keeps them stable. Vexa blinked. What kind of energy? The kind that shouldn't exist, Mara said quietly. She tapped her wrist console, projecting a model of a voiceless ship. Inside the hollow black shape was a pulsing white core. This core is their center, Mara explained. But every attempt to hit it has failed. Ren raised an eyebrow. Then how do we stop them? We don't stop them. We disrupt them. Even for a moment. Mara looked at him seriously. And in that moment, we hit them with everything. Ren nodded slowly. A coordinated strike. Yes, Mara said. But we must time it perfectly. A dangerous alliance. The Terran vanguard began to move into position, forming a wide crescent in front of the Empire's fleets. Human ships glided like silent silver birds, while Imperial ships hummed with heavy engines and bright red lights. Two forces that spent centuries keeping distance from each other now stood together. Ren felt a strange pride watching them. If we survive today, he said softly, history will remember this moment. Mara smiled slightly. Let's make sure we survive, then. The first wave. An alarm blared. Voiceless ships accelerating. The black giants suddenly surged forward. Not fast, just steady. But the movement filled everyone with icy fear. It felt unnatural, as if space was bending in their favor. Positions! Ren shouted. The first giant passed into range. Human fleet opening first strike, Mara announced. The Terran ships fired a strange blue pulse, silent, almost gentle. The pulse washed across the black surface of the enemy vessel like a ripple across water. Nothing seemed to happen. Vexa frowned. It had no effect. Wait, Mara said. A moment later, the first voiceless giant flickered like a glitching hologram. There, she pointed. Now, Admiral. Ren raised his hand. Fire! Every Imperial cannon, missile pod, and energy beam unleashed at once. A massive wave of red, gold, and white light slammed into the flickering shadow. The giant ship shook, then cracked down the middle. Ren's heart jumped. It worked! But before anyone could celebrate, the two broken halves melted into darkness, dissolving like black smoke. They were gone. No explosion. No parts. Nothing. Only empty space. Mara exhaled. That was one. There are dozens more. The real battle begins. Another giant surged forward. Humans fired the blue pulse. The ship flickered. Ren shouted, "All Imperial units, strike!" Beams lit the darkness. Another shadow collapsed. Then another. For the first time, the Empire believed they might win. Officers cheered, hitting control panels, shouting orders with renewed hope. But hope was short-lived. "Admiral!" a sensor officer yelled. "The voiceless are adapting." "Meaning what?" Ren demanded. Mara's face darkened. "They learn fast." The next human pulse wave hit the voiceless ship. Nothing happened. No flicker. No reaction. The giant kept coming. Vexa gasped. They adjusted their energy core. Ren slammed his fist on the command table. "Are you telling me they're immune now?" "No," Mara said. "I'm saying they won't fall for the same trick twice." Another alert went off. "Admiral, one of the giants is powering something." A black glow formed beneath the ship, like a hole opening in space. Mara whispered, "Brace yourselves." The black wave. The voiceless giant unleashed a wave of darkness. It wasn't a beam. It wasn't light. It was absence. Where it passed, engines died. Lights flickered. Several Imperial frigates simply stopped moving, frozen in space. Ren shouted, "Report!" "Sir, they disabled our ships without hitting them." Mara cursed under her breath. "They're targeting energy. All energy. If that wave hits the fortress." Vexa finished the sentence. "Helion will be erased." Ren's mind raced. They needed a new plan. Fast. "Captain Mara," he said, "can your fleet create a shield around the fortress?" "Not for long," she answered. "But we can buy you minutes." Minutes. That was all. "Do it," Ren ordered. A final gambit. The Terran vanguard moved in front of the fortress, forming a barrier of ships. A shimmering blue wall of energy formed, one strong enough to hold back the black wave. But cracks already appeared in the shield. Ren looked at Vexa. "We cannot keep fighting like this." "No," she agreed. "We need to find a weakness they cannot adapt to." Mara approached them quietly. "I may know one," she said. Ren turned. "What is it?" Mara's expression grew grim. "It's risky. It's dangerous. And it might cost many lives." Ren met her gaze. "But will it work?" Mara hesitated, then nodded once. "Yes, if we're lucky." Ren breathed in slowly. "Then tell us everything. Because if they failed now, the silence would swallow the entire empire." The blue shield around Fortress Helion shook like glass in a storm. Every few seconds, cracks flashed across its surface, each one wider than the last. Human ships and Imperial ships strained to hold the barrier together, but the voiceless were pushing harder now. Their black giants moved with calm confidence, as if they already knew the end. Inside the command hall, Admiral Ren stood over the display table. Sweat lined his forehead. Every officer in the room could feel the pressure. The voiceless wave attack had disabled half of the outer fleet. If the shield failed, Helion would fall in minutes. Captain Mara stepped forward. Her face was steady, but her eyes showed the truth. Humanity had used this tactic before, and almost died trying. "Here is the plan," she said. Ren folded his arms. "Speak." Mara tapped her wrist console. A hologram appeared above the table, showing a voiceless giant from the inside. The white core pulsed, almost like a slow heartbeat. This core is not just energy, Mara said. It is connected to a shared network. Every voiceless ship is linked through it. Commander Vexa leaned closer. So if we disrupt the network, we disrupt them all, Mara finished. Ren frowned. But we already tried disrupting one. They adapted. This is different, Mara replied. The ship core is weak to one thing: quantum overcharge. Vexa raised an eyebrow. That sounds unstable. It is, Mara admitted, and it requires a ship to get extremely close to the core, almost inside the energy field. Ren understood instantly. A suicide run. The command hall fell silent. Mara did not deny it. Yes, a ship must overload its reactor next to the core. The shockwave will spread through the entire voiceless network. It will freeze them with system failure long enough for the Empire to destroy them. Vexa looked horrified. Who would fly such a mission? Mara breathed out slowly. My people already decided. The ship will be the Solace 9, one of our oldest Vanguard cruisers. This crew has volunteered. Ren shook his head. You're sending them to their deaths. They knew the risks the moment they chose the Vanguard, Mara said quietly. A fleeting chance. Before Ren could respond, the shield shook violently. The command hall trembled. Officers stumbled. Lights flickered. A technician shouted, Admiral! The voiceless wave hit the shield again. Integrity down to 20%. Vexa quickly checked her console. If the shield collapses, Helion will be wiped out. Ren looked at Mara. How long does your plan need? 7 minutes, she answered. The shield cracked again. We don't have 7 minutes, Ren muttered. Mara approached the table and adjusted the hologram. We will clear a path. We will get Solace 9 as close as possible. But your fleets must distract the voiceless giants. Ren nodded. Then we fight. The final run begins. Across the battlefield, the Terran Vanguard opened a path through the chaos. Imperial cruisers moved beside them, firing everything they had at the black giants. Explosions lit the dark void, but the voiceless ships stayed silent, their movements smooth and cold. The Solace 9, a silver cruiser with a long, narrow front, drifted into formation. Inside the ship, Captain Irel, an older human with short gray hair, looked at his crew. They all knew what this mission meant. None of them tried to leave. Irel spoke into the comm to all Imperial and Terran forces. Solace 9 beginning approach. In the command hall, Ren whispered, May the stars protect them. Mara closed her eyes for a moment, then straightened. They're ready. Closing the distance. The Solace 9 accelerated forward, weaving between fallen Imperial frigates and drifting debris. A voiceless giant turned slowly, as if noticing the small ship approaching its core. Its black hull pulsed with a dark glow. They've spotted us, Irel announced. The voiceless giant fired a wave of darkness. It rushed toward the cruiser like a tide. Mara shouted, All ships, cover Solace 9. Now! A line of Imperial destroyers moved between the wave and the cruiser. The darkness hit them, freezing their engines. One by one they fell silent, but they had blocked enough of the attack. The cruiser continued. Ren's voice trembled. They're almost in range. Into the heart of the void. The voiceless giant opened its energy field. A swirling dark sphere formed behind the hull, pulling space inward. The Solace 9 shook violently as it entered the field. Alarms rang inside. Lights flickered. The hull groaned. Still, the cruiser pushed forward. We are at the core, Irel said, his voice steady. Beginning overcharge sequence. In the command hall, everyone held their breath. Mara watched with clenched fists. Come on. Just a little more. The first break in the silence. The Solace 9's engines glowed brighter and brighter until they turned white. Sparks shot across the hull. Irel spoke his last words. For humanity, and for the Empire. The screen turned white. The shockwave burst outward like a silent star. It rushed through the voiceless ship, then jumped to the next, and then the next, racing through the entire enemy formation. One by one, the black giants froze mid-movement. Their dark hulls cracked like stone. Their cores flickered. Vexa gasped. It worked. The network has collapsed. Ren slammed his fist on the table. All Imperial fleets. Fire on every voiceless ship. Beams of red, blue, and gold filled space. The first voiceless giant shattered into dust. Then another, and another. For the first time since the invasion began, the silence broke. Darkness rolled across the battlefield like a living storm. The voiceless fleet pushed forward, silent and endless, their black forms swallowing every star behind them. Inside Fortress Helion, alarms screamed. The human barrier shield was cracking. Small fractures of blue light appeared across the surface like spiderwebs. Commander Vexa's voice shook as she reported, "Admiral, the shield will fail in less than 3 minutes." Ren nodded, his jaw tight. Then Captain Mara's plan must work now. Captain Mara stood in the center of the command hall, calm but pale. Everyone watched her, the woman who had brought humanity's last hope. She raised her wrist console and tapped it twice. A new hologram appeared, a map of the battlefield showing Imperial fleets, human fleets, and a single blinking point far ahead. Vexa leaned forward. "What is that location?" Mara answered softly. "It's where the voiceless began their journey. The place they call the Origin Void." Ren frowned. "And you believe attacking that point will stop all of them?" "It won't destroy them," Mara said, "but it will break their connection. Without that link, they will lose their unity and collapse." The room fell silent. Ren looked at her sharply. "If this has been possible, why hasn't humanity done it before?" Mara exhaled slowly. "Because no fleet has ever survived long enough to reach the Origin Void." Vexa swallowed hard. "And you think we can?" Mara looked at both of them. "We have no other choice. The final mission." Ren turned to his officers. "All units, prepare for final strike formation. We are going straight into the Origin Void." Vexa's eyes widened. "Sir, that requires moving through the voiceless main cluster." "I know," Ren said quietly. "But if we stay here, we die. If we move forward, we have a chance." Mara placed a hand on the table. "My fleet will take the front. We can handle their energy surges better." Ren nodded gratefully. "Then lead the way." A deep voice echoed from the communications pit. "Sir, the human shield. It's collapsing." Everyone looked up. Cracks spread across the blue barrier. One by one, pieces shattered into dark space. Mara snapped, "All ships move." The human and Imperial fleets surged forward with perfect coordination. Engines roared, lights flared, and thousands of ships cut through the darkness like a river of fire. Behind them, the voiceless wave hit the remains of the shield, breaking through the last fragments. But the fleets were already beyond their reach. For now, through the shadows, the voiceless ships noticed the movement. Several giants turned toward the fleeing fleets. A sensor officer shouted, "Admiral, they're pursuing us. Keep all engines at maximum." Ren ordered. Human support ships formed a protective arc around the Empire's heavy cruisers. Imperial frigates darted ahead, clearing the flight path. The voiceless giants approached, their massive shadows looming. Mara spoke quickly. "When they fire the dark wave, scatter." Seconds later, a black pulse erupted from one of the giants. "Scatter," Mara shouted. Ships broke formation in every direction. The dark wave passed through the space they had been traveling, but hit nothing. "Rejoin formation," Ren shouted. "Move toward the blinking point." The fleets reformed as smoothly as a school of fish. The Origin Void was close. Too close. The heart of nothing. Finally, they reached the point on the map. Everyone stared at the view. There was no star, no planet, no light, only a swirling hole of darkness, spinning slowly like a massive wound in space. Commander Vexa whispered, "It feels wrong." Mara nodded. "Because this place should not exist." Ren stepped forward. "What do we do now?" Mara raised her wrist console. "We overload our engines. All of them. The energy release will create a shockwave that destabilizes the void. Once its connection breaks, every voiceless ship will collapse. Ren stared at her. Overload the engines? That will destroy every ship here. Mara nodded. I know, Vexa gasped. You mean, this is a suicide plan? Mara didn't answer. She didn't need to. Ren tightened his fists. There must be another way. There isn't, Mara said softly. If we don't do this now, there will be no empire, no humanity, no anyone. Ren closed his eyes. Then, he turned to his officers. Prepare engine overload. Vexa's voice cracked. Yes, Admiral. A choice that changed everything. Human ships and Imperial ships both began preparations. But then, a message came through. Admiral, a Terran command ship is sending a signal. Ren looked at Mara. Her face went pale. No, they didn't, she whispered. The message played. A calm voice spoke. Captain Mara, this is High Commander Soren. Vanguard Command will take your place. Your fleet and the Empire must live. Fall back. We will finish the mission. Mara shook her head violently. No, they can't. They don't have enough ships. But the message continued. Do not argue. This is humanity's burden. You must survive. Now retreat. Before Mara could respond, the Terran command ship surged forward toward the origin void. Then another, and another. The entire Terran vanguard, every human ship except Mara's support group, raced directly into the swirling darkness. Ren whispered, They're sacrificing themselves. Mara whispered, They always expected it would end this way. The light humans left behind. Inside the void, the Terran ships glowed brighter and brighter. Their engines flared, their cores overloaded, and then, a blast of white light exploded across the battlefield, brighter than any star. The origin void trembled, cracked, and tore open. A massive shockwave raced outward. The voiceless giants froze mid-movement. Their black bodies flickered, crumbled, and vanished into dust. One by one, every last voiceless ship collapsed into nothing. The fleet that once swallowed stars was gone. Silence filled the void. But this time, it was the silence of peace. Aftermath of heroes. Ren stood before the display, unable to speak. Vexa wiped tears from her eyes. They saved us. Mara did not speak. She simply stared at the place where the human fleet had vanished. Ren placed a hand on her shoulder. Your people saved 2 civilizations today, he said softly. The Empire will never forget. Mara closed her eyes, whispering. They didn't die for the Empire. She opened them again, filled with quiet strength. They died because someone had to listen. Someone had to end the silence. Ren nodded slowly. And now, the Empire will listen. For the first time in centuries, pride did not blind them. Silence did not deceive them. The warning had finally been heard, and the galaxy would never be the same again.